We are live in the Allstate Skyline Studios. Joining me tonight in studio is Representative Robert Martwick. We want to catch up on some things going on in Springfield a little bit after the 10:30 news. Today is International Women's Day, and I know a lot of people celebrate it and acknowledge that in different ways. We wanted to talk to our friends at WINGS, which is an organization that provides a pathway to independence for adults and children who are escaping from domestic violence and abuse. Joining us on the line is Shelley Welch, who is the manager of the annual fund giving from WINGS. Hey, Shelley, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing, Patty?
Very well. Thank you for joining us. And tell us a little bit, before we talk about how people can help out, tell us a little bit more about WINGS.
Yeah, WINGS has been around for a little over 30 years. We are the largest domestic violence housing agency in the state of Illinois, and we're providing not only housing but integrated services, education, and advocacy to end domestic violence.
And how can people get involved? Because I mean that not just in helping you out, but also learn more about how they can help the people in their lives or even themselves to get out of a situation that might be dangerous.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the statistics are 1 in 3 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime and 1 in 4 men. And so, you know, somebody knows somebody and they just probably don't know it. So one of the things they can do is be aware of agencies like WINGS in the areas where they live so that they have the number available if somebody is going through it or if they themselves are going through it, to give the number a call. The Illinois Hotline for Domestic Violence is a great way to connect in and find shelters in the area. And also just being a friend and listening to people, whether it's a family member or a friend, you can pick up on certain things when you start hearing issues of power and control, whether it's physical, emotional, verbal, financial is a big one. There may be a case of domestic violence involved.
And that's the thing is noticing the signs. I spoke to a woman who, you know, she was a very successful business owner, so nobody suspected it of her. And, you know, one of the things that she tried to do, which she ended up doing, was buying like a separate phone because she wanted to be able to have it just in case, but she wasn't ready to go because she wasn't sure how she was going to be able to also get her kids and flee. And that seems to be something that holds a lot of people back, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We really have seen, and statistically it's proven, that when somebody decides to leave an abusive relationship, that is really the most dangerous time for them. So we spend a lot of our time working to educate people and to help them to create safety plans when they are in that situation where, you know, they can't leave yet, but when the opportunity comes, how do they leave safely?
And when they do leave safely, tell us a little bit about how you're able to make sure that they are in a home, because a lot of people then again say, you know, well, how can you protect me? What if they find me? What is the process somebody would go through?
Sure. They would call the hotline or get connected directly to WINGS or another agency. I'll speak to WINGS specifically. They would go through an intake process with us. If they are coming into our emergency shelter, we give 12 hours for them to get to us. Once they have secured a way to get to us safely, that is when we will let them know where the location is, whether it's in our city shelter or our Northwest Suburban shelter. And then they have to sign the confidentiality paperwork and all of that so that they're not disclosing where our locations are. And that's the same thing for our shared homes, our transitional apartments, our permanent supportive housing. All of that is secured confidential information. Occasionally, somebody will find out where somebody is, and we will quickly move them to a different location. That doesn't happen often, though, because of the confidentiality policies.
I appreciate your honesty on that because, you know, people want to know a lot more about this. Go ahead, Rep.
Yeah, no, so I thank you for being on the show. I actually started my career out as a domestic violence prosecutor. And so as I listen to you, I think about how wonderful the resource is. I have a couple of questions for you. You know, I think the challenge that you point out is that the most dangerous time is when someone's ready to leave. And it would seem that so often there are victims of domestic violence that just aren't ready to leave. They don't realize that they're a victim. They realize something's wrong. But so what are you doing to educate? What does your organization do to educate people who are not necessarily victims, but do you do any sort of outreach to help people understand the warning signs so that if a loved one is trapped in that type of a relationship, that they can reach out to you and you can be a resource?
Absolutely. I actually go out and speak quite a bit with our faith communities who are working with Wings, businesses that are working with us, organizations such as a Rotary Club. We even go into local high schools or even have spoken with groups like the Girl Scouts. This Sunday, actually, I will be speaking at a couple of services at a church out in the suburbs, and one of the things that we try to do is let people know what domestic violence is, how it manifests, what resources Wings provides for somebody in a domestic violence situation. And then one of the key things that we do in letting them know all of this information is then to say, so now that you've learned this, what do I do? Well, one of the key things for somebody who may know someone going through domestic violence is to be a listener, have some resources available that you can tell them when it's a secure, safe place. Guard yourself. I mean, it's very hard to be around somebody who's going through an abusive situation who doesn't see it themselves and isn't ready to leave. So you want to make sure not to take the trauma on yourself, but to be there for them, because on average it may take someone 7 times before they actually leave for good that abusive situation. And what happens if you're not there that time that they are really ready to leave is they may not actually get out of that situation. So we want people to be able to know what the signs are, to know the resources to point people in the right direction, and then to be there and to care for their loved ones, their friends, as they walk the journey with them to that on that path of freedom from domestic violence.
Yeah, and that's a really, really tough thing. And I can speak from personal experience, having been someone who day in and day out had to deal with people who were clearly victims of domestic violence, whose lives were being racked over it, and yet they would, even coming into a courtroom, they wouldn't be ready to make that step and leave. It wears on you as someone who has to deal with people in that situation. So it's good stuff. One last thing, I'm a state representative. I'm curious, do you receive funding from the state of Illinois?
We do. We actually receive funding from the federal government and the state government.
How's that state funding been going for you?
To be honest, the state funding has been okay. We don't get a great deal of funding from the state. Most of what we get from the state is federal pass-through money. Right. But we, fortunately, because we have other sources of income, we were not terribly affected with the budget issues a couple of years ago.
I'm happy to hear that. We saw so much devastation because of the budget impasse, and much of it was directed towards domestic violence shelters. So I'm glad that your work was able to continue, because it is good work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. It definitely was devastating for some of our partner ministries, and we do thank our representatives in the various districts on both sides of the aisle for supporting Wings and supporting the need for laws and services for people going through domestic violence.
And to the funding for you, tell us a little bit about Butterfly and how folks can get involved.
Oh yeah, Patty, thanks for bringing that up. We are launching a brand new thing at Wings just in honor of International Women's Day today. It went out, and it is our new monthly giving program. And people can go ahead and go online at wingsprogram.com. There's a big banner right on our homepage saying to join the Wings Butterfly Club. We have a lot of individuals who will support us in a one-time gift throughout the year, or maybe a couple of times a year, and that's great, and that helps us. But we really are looking for people who will make a commitment on a monthly basis. There's an option to give on the 1st of every month or the 15th of every month, or they can even go ahead and take what they would give on a monthly basis. Let's say they wanted to give, an amount of $50 a month, and they want to just do it one time a year for $600. They can choose the first of whatever month throughout that year and make an annual gift. And we are very excited for this, because with income that's generated on a monthly consistent basis, that allows us a consistent source of funding year-round so that we can provide the services we need to our clients every day. We house up to 263 people a night and provide outside services through counseling and other things to people who are not in our housing. So we really do need some consistent funding coming in, and it's an easy way for a donor to partner with us because you can set it up on your credit card so it's getting charged automatically or coming out of your bank account automatically. And if anything should happen to change your circumstances where you need to change the amount you're giving to us, you can go and easily do that at any time without any hassle. And you're getting a tax-deductible giving receipt at the end of the year as well.
I love this program, and I think it's such a great way for people to get involved. Again, it's wingsprogram.com, the Wings Butterfly Club, and the first month's gift is doubled. You can join today, and for anyone else who needs help, the 24-hour hotline is 847-221-5680, and we've been talking to Shelley. She's the helping us out understand more about the Wings Butterfly Club and making sure that you all have more information, and that, again, is wingsprogram.com. Thank you so much, Shelley. We love talking to you and want to check in with you again whenever the opportunity presents itself for you.
Oh, that'd be great, Patty. Thanks so much for having me on tonight.
Of course. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you.